Nothing Worthwhile, the recognized symbol of excellence in crappy podcasting.
Hello, I'm Evan Moody.
And I'm Andrew Gruthius.
And you're listening to Nothing Worthwhile
with Moody and Groo.
And now, Vince McMahon.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the greatest sports entertainment spectacular of all time. Welcome to Wrestlemania.
WrestleMania 38 has concluded. What did Moody and Groo think about the show of shows? Who walked out of WrestleMania your new unified heavyweight champion? Was it the Beast Brock-Lesnar or the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns? Live from Dallas, Texas, it's Nothing Worthwhile's biggest reaction to WrestleMania Night 2. We are unified. Here's Evan Moody and Andrew Gruthius.
Just some 14 miles south of Suplex City. Live from Dallas, Texas at the Hyatt Regency, just a few steps from Terminal C at the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. I am sitting right across from my partner in crime, Andrew Gruthius. Again, we are live from Dallas, Texas. Nothing Worthwhile, Night 2, WrestleMania Sunday reaction. Andrew Gruthius, Groo, you ready to rock and roll?
What?
Thank you for just killing all momentum of the podcast.
Well, I was just trying to be, like Johnny Knoxville.
Well, we'll talk about.
I'm kidding. I mean, I'm wiped. I really am. I'm tired.
They gave you 2 full nights and a lot of value if you're a pro wrestling fan, or maybe more importantly, if you're a WWE fan. They gave you 2 full nights. I think we'll get to our overall thoughts on the 2-night extravaganza at the end of the podcast. I think let's just get right into it. Let's open up with Night 2. Well, here's what I would ask you. I mean, obviously going into Night 2 of WrestleMania, WrestleMania Sunday seemed to be, most prognosticators thought it was the bigger night of the 2-night event. After Night 1, Stone Cold Steve Austin returns, physicality, no-holds-bar match, 19 years. What were your thoughts heading into Night 2? Did you think Night 2 was the better of the 2 nights on paper? And, did you think WWE would exceed Night 1? Or just some general thoughts heading into Night 2, WrestleMania Sunday?
As good as Night 1 was, I didn't think that Night 2 would equal it.
Did you think Night 2 on paper was the better of the 2 nights? Most people thought it was.
I would put them very even because like they had the unification match, which obviously is the big shadow over everything, and they had the tag team triple threat, but they also had some other things.
Edge AJ was considered probably the best pure wrestling match of the 2 nights.
But remember, the first night had Cody, had Rollins, Cody, had the 2 women's championship matches, which were both even on paper those were good matches.
Yes.
So I didn't really see, and I didn't pay attention to that. I didn't know that until you just told me. My opinion is that they were 2 very well balanced nights on paper. That's my opinion.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Groo and I entered AT&T Stadium. They had DJ Scrabble. I don't know who it was, but I actually thought it was a cute thing that they did. They had a DJ play live for about an hour and a half prior to the opening bell, and they mixed in some of the wrestling theme songs.
Yeah, well, I guess they did that. We've been to a bunch of these now. They've never done that before, but I'm guessing that they kind of did that to keep to warm up the crowd a little bit because there was no pre-show match, which there usually are.
Right.
Right? So they didn't have that this year. Literally, we're just sitting in the arena or in the stadium, and the show starts when the show starts. So I'm guessing that that's why they kind of did that.
I didn't miss the pre-show matches.
Me neither.
Now, I think probably the wrestlers might have be upset because there could be an extended payday or getting on somehow on the WrestleMania card. But I thought the DJ thing was cute, and the kids loved it, and they mixed in a couple of the old school and new school wrestling theme songs, and the crowd seemed to enjoy it.
Yeah, and it was cool. As we were filing in, we hear it, and then there's the guy. They have the guy up on the huge screen, who's dancing around and taking pictures with people, and it was kind of a nice little added bonus. I enjoyed it.
Good job, WWE, opening the night. All right, let's get to it. WrestleMania Sunday opens with the game Triple H. Place goes bajonkers.
Oh, wait. We did America the Beautiful.
All right, come on. Okay, Jesse Jane.
Beautiful.
Well, Jesse Jane Decker sang. Thank you, Andrew.
She was good. She was good.
She was good. She did a better job. That's the wife of former New York Jet wide receiver Eric Decker. Had a pretty decent run with the Jets.
Screwed me over on my fantasy team.
All right, country western artist. She did a good job, got the crowd going. Yeah. All right, Andrew, let me reset again. Paul Levesque, a.k.a. Triple H, recently announcing his retirement. Triple H hits the ring, didn't say much, leaves his boots in the ring, indicating a formal retirement. What'd you think of the opener with Triple H?
Loved it. We marked out when that music hit. And because it was a little emotional. He was not that. Look, he's older, so he's sort of that retirement age. But it's the health thing that we've been watching Triple H more than half our lives now. So the health thing was the big thing. So to hear that music and to see him come out as like he has the two theme songs, the one as the CEO,
right, the executive
and
vice president,
and the one is the wrestler, and they played the one as the wrestler, which I was happy with. And he does the water thing, and he stands up and we're sitting there like, can he do this? Like he's getting animated, and like
yes, he has a defibrillator.
You got to calm down a little bit. I thought the whole idea, but then coming into the ring, all that needed to be said, he basked in the audience appreciation. And him just saying, welcome to WrestleMania. He says, thank you. Nothing else needed to be said. Save it for the Hall of Fame speech. And leaving the boots in the ring, I thought was a nice touch. It was a great way to start the show, I think.
I thought he might say something a bit more. I was hoping to get some kind of mini insight. Obviously, I didn't think he was going to do a 20-minute soliloquy to open up WrestleMania Sunday. But yes, I enjoyed it. And obviously, most fans saw the boots left in the ring. He gave a hug to, I think, his daughters and family, and off he goes. So, nice way to open Triple H.
Very. I really enjoyed it.
All right, Groo, WrestleMania Sunday opens up with the Raw Tag Team Championship. RKO Bro defeating the Alpha Academy and the Street Profits triple threat tag team match. Groo, I know you're a big RK Bro mark. What did you think overall of the opening match?
Well, you saw me probably at my most animated during this match, because I really thought, honestly, this was a phenomenal match because it wasn't too long, it wasn't too short, it was nonstop, great high flying action. Every team looked great and did great, and yes, of course, the team that I was rooting for and predicted won. But I still thought, regardless of the winner, it was an excellent match, a great opener.
Yeah, I think taking a step back from the match, I think, and we haven't really said this in a while, although they've had talented tag teams, the tag team division, at least on Raw, looks pretty solid. RK Bro, Alpha Academy, Street Profits, all three pretty darn good tag teams for different reasons.
Yes, and I'd like to see that tag team division, throwing the Usos in there. I mean, even though we're on different shows, I understand that, but it's obvious that the WWE has a strong tag team division right now. It's just what do they want to do with it? I
would say, well, on the Raw side for sure. On the SmackDown side, you've got the Usos, and then like the Los Lotharios. I don't know.
All right, so they got to build it up there.
New Day to some extent.
But there's talent. But
you
there's
got the
talent
Viking
there.
Raiders. There definitely is talent there.
Yeah. There's one thing though. Are you going to talk about like the aftermatch?
Please go ahead.
No, I just I'm curious what you think about this, because we know night one they introduced Gable Steveson.
Yes.
And then night two, at the end of this match, Chad Gable, no relation. Isn't that his name? Chad Gable?
Yes, sir.
I thought this is Johnson, the other Agent Johnson.
We just lost 10 downloads in India.
He comes out and brings Gable into this whole thing. That's the one part I didn't like. When do these things, when they start shoving people down our throats who are not there yet, like they build up all this hype, and when does that ever work out? Like Stephanie McMahon introduces this guy as like the next big thing on the first night, and then they're bringing him into this thing right away. I don't think the audience reaction was quite there for him. Half the people probably didn't know who he was, and my question was, why him? Why here? He's not a tag team guy. He's a singles guy, or at least I think he's going to be. So I was questioning, why shove this down our throats? Don't need it. Let it be organic.
Well, I mean, WWE gave us 2 nights with a lot of stuff that they shoved down our throats, but it's an extravaganza. Gabe Stevenson is one of their high-profile signings. He's an NCAA 2-time NCAA Division I amateur wrestling champion. I believe a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. He's a big name. He's a big deal. I'll give you night 1. I thought night 2, if you're not going to get a Street Profits heel turn with the cups and the drinking thing, then you got Gable Stevenson in there with Chad Gable, who's a real pro. It's a real controlled kind of thing. You get a little physicality, a nice pop from the audience, and back you go to NXT or whatever it is to learn your craft a little bit more.
Is that the plan?
I'm pretty sure it is.
All right, because if
hold on, let me call Stephanie McMahon. I imagine so.
No, well, like at the thing, I'm not as aware of him as you are. So, I'm asking.
He's a big name. I'll give you night 1. Night 1 was kind of a muted response. He's a big time name. They've gotten into this whole NIL pipeline, which I think will benefit them somewhere down the line. But to get him out there, a little physicality. Chad Gable's the perfect guy to do it with because he has a similar background. He's amazing on the microphone, smarmy. Great. I think he slapped the cup out of Gable Stevenson's hand, and you get a quick, belly to belly suplex, and out you go.
Yeah.
Thought it was fine. It was quick. He gets a nice pop, and let him go to NXT or whoever and learn his craft.
Okay, I'll give you that, because if they open up Raw with him, like then I'd be like, what are you doing? But if he's gonna go and build up and get to a certain level instead of just being inserted in like a high mid card thing at the WWE roster right out of the gate, I don't think I'd be into that.
He's really considered their next Brock Lesnar type, that kind of a signing. And if you remember, Brock Lesnar came out against the Hardys and squashed the Hardys out of nowhere. So you got to introduce these guys at some point. I thought night 1, it was kind of the place was quiet. They didn't know really who he was. But to get him out there and to get a little physical interaction, very controlled with a pro like Chad Gable, I didn't mind it.
I'll give you that. All right, I'll give you that. What'd you think of the match?
Fantastic match. I was kind of hoping perhaps it was rumored the Street Profits heel turn. I thought that would have, because really, I wouldn't have minded the Street Profits face turn. I don't quite get the whole cup thing. We just had an athletic competition. Now we're going to drink and toast everybody.
Take shots.
But again, that's the WWE entertainment style. I love all 3 teams for different reasons. I
Me
think
too.
Montez Ford is extremely talented in the ring. I love Gable and Otis for the differences. It's like a true tag team. Two different styles, two different personalities. Love that whole deal. And as I said, and we've said on prior podcasts, RK Bro, there just seems to be more to mine there. We know eventually they're going to break up and it's going to be a big-time match, but it seems like there's more fun and more creativity out of those two.
Yep. And, especially since, you spent your hard-earned money on my Hey Randy shirt, which I thank you profusely for. I was a little skeptical because I thought they might break up last night, but they didn't. So the shirt has value.
Well, if they do break up, the shirt probably has even more value.
That's right. Good point.
All right, Groo. Let's get to the second match in a questionable one where they positioned it on the card. And listen, I had some problems with it right off the bat. Bobby Lashley defeating Omos. Bobby Lashley. What is his moniker now? The Almighty. The Almighty Bobby Lashley, former heavyweight champ. Without MVP, defeats Omos, about a 5-minute match. What'd you think?
Like you said, it was shoved in there. It was set up a week ago?
Yes.
Maybe 2 weeks ago. And I think we have the same view of it. This destroys Omos.
Tomato.
Yeah, he's running around with AJ. He's destroying everybody. Then he goes out on his own and he's just running over everybody. And then his first Mania, is this his first Mania appearance?
As singles,
no. Right? He was in the Bad Bunny match the year before, correct?
No, he was not.
Which he was with AJ against who?
I don't remember who, but he was in a tag match with AJ.
Yes, and AJ did most of the work, but he came in and was effective. But on his own, he's been like a squash guy, and then here comes Lashley, disposes of him in 5 minutes. Now he's no longer an indestructible whatever, and I see him as sort of DOA.
I don't know if he's DOA, but I just don't even understand that booking at all. It did nothing for either guy.
Right.
It doesn't really enhance Bobby Lashley. The WWE, as we talked about at Denny's at 2 o'clock in the morning, has a strange booking with Giants. They don't seem to really let these guys. They let them shine up to a point, and then they get fodder for a more athletic, smaller guy to be served up here. And I just don't. I don't understand it. Omos was built up squash match. Then you throw him right in with a certain a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer like Bobby Lashley. Let him continue with the squashes. Let him start lower in the card. It'd be one thing if he, let's say squashed Madcap Moss. I could buy that, or somebody low on the card. I didn't understand the booking. And again, in the world of sports entertainment, it only takes a good Raw or SmackDown storyline to kind of refurbish a character. But I wouldn't call him DOA, but yeah, he's knocked down a whole bunch of pegs, and I'm curious where they'll go with him, or if they will go with him on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, and the match itself. Look, you could forgive something like that if it's a really good match, if they're both booked strongly. But this was basically, and maybe this is what it was supposed to be, I just don't agree with it, but maybe it was just supposed to be. Bobby Lashley comes in, and at first he's overmatched, and then he's getting better and better and better, and finally he puts him down, 1, 2, 3, over. And if that's the story that they were trying to tell, they told it well. It's just a bad story.
Well, it's as you like to call it. It's paint by numbers.
Yeah.
Face gets knocked down. He makes the big comeback for the win. And, he knocks Omos off his feet. Omos, he's been with them for 2 calendar years. He's really only wrestled as a singles for just a couple of months. So even when he knocks Omos off his feet, it doesn't even have the Andre the Giant Big Show kind of effect. He's not been there long enough as a singles guy for us to be like, oh my God, he got knocked off his feet.
Yeah. If I had a question to ask the bookers about this whole thing, it would be, what were they going for with this?
All right, well, Omos, we know, is going to be sort of muddled. Where do you go with Bobby Lashley the next calendar year? Is he back in the heavyweight title picture?
I think that's what they want. I think it really depends on what they do with the titles. Because if the unification is basically creating a new title, a new big title, and then they continue to have the WWE Championship and the Universal Championship, which I don't think that's a good idea, but you seem to mention that that's where they might go. If they do that, then he's in one of those two title pictures. But he's not. I don't see him in the World Championship picture yet.
Yeah. Well, this is a night 2 reaction. I think they're going to have a new unified championship. How long it lasts, we don't know. I mean, they have 2 separate brands. I think the feeling is they want 2 separate champions. I think they'll get back to that at some point. How they get there, I'm not really sure, but we'll see.
No, but my question is, do you think they're going to keep this unified title as like the WWE Championship, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and still retain the SmackDown Champion and the Raw Champion? Do you see that, or
No.
is that too many titles?
That's
now?
too many titles.
I agree.
Too many titles. So.
I agree.
All right, let's go to match number 3.
Okay.
The sports entertainment portion of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Knoxville of Jackass fame defeating Sami Zayn in an Anything Goes match. Groo, anything goes? What'd you think?
Well, anything goes, and plenty went, like Sami Zayn's career. Actually, I take that back, because Sami proved himself to be a pro. Like, he proved himself. He said, you know what? This makes me look ridiculous, but I get to have fun, act like a moron, and get paid for it, and have a great time. So I think Sami will recover. It's the company that has some splaining to do, especially with the outcome of the match. We talked about it in private. We'll talk about it here. You expressed to me how angry you were about Sami losing that match after all that. At first, I didn't see it because I was looking at it as this is the entertainment portion of the show, so it really doesn't matter at the time. But I've had 12 hours or so to think about it, and I am 100% on your side. There's no reason Sami couldn't have walked out of there as the winner.
Yeah.
And it was still, and then they could have done the mousetrap thing. He could have won the match, and then they could have kicked the crap out of him. But give him the win. I mean, I couldn't agree more with you. It was like we were sitting there and we were just hating. We were enjoying what we were seeing because it was entertaining in a way, but we were angry at ourselves for enjoying it.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned 12 hours, so, in life I like to sleep on it. I was really, even viscerally angry last night. I mean, you put Sami
you were
Zayn...
stabbing at that moons over my hammy last night.
Well, at the show, I was very angry.
Yes.
Sami Zayn is an accomplished wrestler. He's a solid mid-card guy, just signed to a big contract. And, number one, the match went way too long. And it went way too gimmicky.
Yes.
Pulling out every single bell and whistle. And I'll have some final thoughts about how I took a step back and looked at the overall WrestleMania show at the end. And again, I agree with you in most facets. I mean, if you're going to have him take all these stupid, ridiculous bumps, mouse traps, he did that dive. Knoxville, pushed him off the turnbuckle, the top of the turnbuckle onto the table. It's a big time spot right there. That's a dangerous spot.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have him go through all this grief, at least let him beat the celebrity who doesn't have one single moment of wrestling training. I agree with you. At the time I was like, he's done. Nobody's ever really done in the WWE.
That's true.
It takes. It takes we have short term memory, and it takes a storyline. I mean, I still, just talking about it gets me a little angry. I felt like they did Sami Zayn wrong. Match went too long, way too gimmicky. I could, with the bowling ball to the nuts and the mousetrap. After the first few were kind of cute, and it just got like Three Stooges slapsticky, and didn't really enjoy it. I like Jackass, love Johnny Knoxville, love Sami Zayn. I hope they don't go down this route anymore, and I hope. Johnny Knoxville is a guy that I think feeds well into the WWE type of entertainment, but I want him to go away.
Me too. And I think he will. I think this was the tail end of the Jackass Forever promotion. And now we can move on with our lives.
All right, let's move on, Andrew. We have a fatal four-way WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match. Sasha Banks and Naomi are your new champs, defeating Carmella and Queen Zelina, Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, and Shayna Baszler and Natalya. Groo, WWE, the four-way fatal match. WWE Women's Tag Champs, your new champs, Sasha and Naomi.
It was the mess that I thought it would be, because sometimes there's just too many. It's not a Royal Rumble. Sometimes there's just too many people in the ring and involved, and I don't understand why they needed to do this. But I guess Sasha and Naomi they got a nice pop. I was rooting for Natalya and Shayna Baszler. We did not get that. You had Ripley and Morgan.
I did.
So we both. And how were they? Oh, wait. You meant.
Well, I thought, if you're asking me, I thought going into that match, those two had the most momentum as singles. They were thrown together as a team, which, unfortunately for this match, many of these teams are just kind of thrown together. I agree with you. Too much external stimuli, similar to the Sammy with all the traps. It was too much. It's too much. It's tough to follow. These are really not four organic tag teams. They're kind of just thrown together on the spot. To me, clearly, Sasha is the class of the women in here. She's really I put her in the inner circle of top female performers. I really do. I think Naomi's pretty close as well. I don't think they needed the tag championships. In my mind, I would have given it to Rhea and Liv, who I think are up-and-comers and had momentum, had a good run on Raw. I mean, obviously, I think ultimately you're trying to figure out how to get Sasha Banks back into the mix for one of the women's championships.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure where they go with it here.
Was this little more than a way to get a whole bunch of women onto the card?
Agreed. I mean, WrestleMania always has, even when they did the one night, whether it's the ladder match, there's always one or two scrum type matches where they're Blizzard, 4-way, 3-way, just to get as many performers on the card, so they can get their names on the card and get the payout and whatever publicity they and if I was a wrestler, I'll take it.
Absolutely.
I'll take it. But to me, the end result's going to be trying to get Sasha Banks back into the mix for a women's belt.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then they accomplished it. Because she's a tag champ now, and we'll see where they go with it. But unfortunately, last night, I mean, the match might have been decent. I just couldn't really tell.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So there's not really much to say.
The only spot that I kind of keyed in on was Shayna with manipulating joints, and that was kind of
with the hand,
interesting to watch. Yeah. But besides that, I agree.
Yeah, I felt my carpal tunnel syndrome coming back on me there.
Yeah, absolutely. She can certainly manipulate like no one else.
Yes.
All right, Andrew. Interesting to get your thoughts on the next match. Edge defeating AJ Styles, thought to be the best pure wrestling match on paper of the two nights. Edge defeating AJ Styles after a minor distraction by Damian Priest. Let's talk about what your thoughts of the match, and then of course the Damian Priest semi-interference at the end. Andrew, Edge defeats AJ Styles.
It really was an excellent match. It was because it wasn't what we expected. At least it wasn't what I expected. I expected 15 to 20 minutes of high flying speed, just non-stop. But it was more psychological than that. It was two guys who at least seemed to have legitimate heat, a lot of stalking, a lot of intensity, and they beat the shit out of each other. And it was good. I really, really enjoyed the match, and it was a better match. It was better deserving of a tainted ending like that, even though it wasn't really tainted because there was no interference. And I understand why they did it. They're trying to start the new faction, which they did successfully. But, I feel like they could. I don't know. I would have liked to have seen a purely clean win on that, instead of anything that one can point to set up a rematch. It's too telegraphed. But the match itself was, I think, it lived up, and I think it exceeded my expectations because it was different. It was not what I expected it to be. That's why I liked it so much.
First, I'll go to the ending. The
Okay.
first thing I said with Damian Priest was, you save that for Monday Night Raw.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Andy's mentioned, WrestleMania, there's nothing bigger. I don't know. Here, I just felt like you want to go to introduce a heel faction, let Edge get the clean, taint-free win, and you do something on Monday Night Raw. To the match itself, love the Edge. I love the new intro with Edge, sort of harkening back to the Brood.
Mm-hmm.
I love the new dark Edge for the most part. I feel for AJ. He's lost many high-profile WrestleMania matches. Was hoping for him to get his shine. I think when I look back on this match, I think about almost like a hockey game. I go to the arena and I super enjoyed it. Actually, it's the flip side. I think this match probably played better on television. I do think the crowd was a little bit flat at times for Edge, AJ. Right. It was a little bit more methodical. It was hard-hitting, and it kind of built momentum as the match progressed. I think some of the, perhaps the announcer calls and production around it, probably the television viewers probably enjoyed it a bit. I'm just surmising. But nonetheless, I liked the match, but the crowd was a little flat at times for the match.
Yeah, you mentioned that I think during this match, you mentioned how some things play better on television, and that's normal. And I'm looking forward to actually watching a lot of this back to see how things looked from those different angles, and to see the announcer or to hear the announcers, and to hear that beautiful piped-in crowd noise.
I sure hope they didn't do that because the crowd.
No, but don't they do it when once they film it and then they have the opportunity to edit it and play around with it?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Exactly, and that's good. And that's good business in a way.
What do you think of the Edge pairing with Damian Priest? Perhaps a new heel faction on Raw.
Cool. I love. The best days of modern WWE were started with all those factions back in the mid to late 90s, and they have set up some of those things. They've got the Bloodline, that's become a faction.
Yes.
I think if they do that here, that could be really good, and there's talent there to do it with. So give it a shot. Let's see what happens. Who else do you see joining that? Because without a third or fourth, it's just a tag team.
I don't know, but what I will say is, while I didn't really like the whole Damian Priest insertion sort of into the match, I like the pairing a lot. I think those two guys, Damian Priest has sort of had that brutish, for lack of a better word, gimmick. He had the bow and arrow with the fire. He kind of fits well, and he's a young guy that I think Edge could mold, and hopefully he'll be elevated once this whole storyline sees itself through. You know who I see as part of this faction, and it'll never happen? Drew McIntyre. It'll never happen. They're on separate shows, so I know, but I don't even look at that because they could change that at the drop of a hat if they want to. Because I've been calling for a gimmick change for him, but I don't see that happening. I think they're going to put him in the world title picture. Drew McIntyre? I think so. Agreed. When I said that yesterday, so I was agreeing. Yeah, I'm buying that one. All right. Up next, Sheamus and Ridge Holland with Butch Pete Dunne defeating Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. Why, Andrew? Well, why? You said it. To get them on the card, to get them the payday. If I was Vince and I was them, I would have said, listen, we're not doing the match, or we can do the match. We'll get you the payday, but it's got to be a squash, or I'll reduce your pay a little bit,
and you save a little face. I think I probably would have stayed off the show if I was one of the talent, because nobody looked good from that.
Apparently, what you're saying is what happened backstage. They were told, "Hey, if you guys are going on, it's got to be a squash." And I guess the teams worked it through, and that's what we saw.
Yeah.
It's not even like with Omos and Bobby Lashley or the women's four-way. I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
I think the New Day at this point deserve a little better than a 3-minute squash match. I think Ridge Holland and Sheamus were set to win anyway. I mean, I think obviously Ridge Holland is they see something in him. And so I think that was going to happen anyway. But a 3-minute match for the New Day,
not even. It was 1 minute and like 45 seconds. And it just looks like they're just
Did Kofi even get in the ring?
I don't even know. I blinked and it was over. Yeah. So like it was awful. But I think it's one of those things that they knew would be awful, but they had to get it done.
Sure.
So it is what it is. But now where do you just moving on? Do you pretend it never happened?
Listen, the New Day are kind of Teflon at this point. I mean, they've had some big high-profile losses, Kofi, obviously, and they're so well-loved by the WWE Universe. So
they need Big E, I think.
Well, he's indisposed right now. So.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
And ironically enough, they don't call them the New Day. It was Kofi and Xavier Woods. They play the New Day theme. So I'm wondering if when they get the 3 back, if they'll be titled New Day again. But when it's just the 2... they'll call the 2 guys by, Big E and Kofi and Xavier Woods. They will not call them the New Day.
Let me run an idea by you.
Go ahead.
This is going to sound...
Oh, no.
This is going to sound not racist.
Oh, please.
But
please.
Prejudiced.
Oh, no.
No, I was going to say, because the New Day, like you said, the New Day thing is kind of wearing a little bit thin. Like they didn't even call them that anymore. Like, what if they went heel but made a new a new Nation of Domination type of thing. Like maybe get Lashley in there. He'd be badass at that.
Well, no. That was sort of the Hurt Business initially. You had Bobby Lashley. You had Cedric Maxwell and from the world's greatest tag team, oh my God, Shelton Benjamin.
Yes, yeah,
and MVP as your mouthpiece.
Right.
You had sort of a more sort of militant approach on screen, and then they got rid of those guys after a month. It was well received on television, and they got rid of them. I don't think that fits the New Day style. I think they're more. I'm just giving you my thoughts. Just a more mainstream.
Yeah.
If anyone, I would probably do Xavier Woods because he's like a doctorate and he's gone to school and maybe he could be, more sort of maybe intellectual, militant intellectual kind of thing. But I think, if they broke up the New Day or they kind of nuanced the gimmick, I'm fine with that. I just don't know if I'd go that avenue with those guys.
But could they? All right, maybe not that avenue, but could they take lemons and make lemonade? Could they be like, they're keeping us down, they kept us off the card, or they gave us a choice? If you got, like they could turn that into something like they have legitimate beef.
That would be a bold booking move, and the WWE typically shies away from that. I mean, they did that with Roman, and I gave them kudos. I would probably like it, and I'd want to see where it goes. Do I think they're going to do it? No, but that would be a bold booking move.
Yeah.
And maybe could revitalize them somewhat.
Yeah, and after last night, I think they need to be revitalized.
Well, speaking of revitalization, Groo, Pat McAfee, your announcer, your color commentator from SmackDown, defeats Austin Theory, then gets into an impromptu match with Mr. McMahon, then afterwards, returning for WrestleMania Sunday, Stone Cold Steve Austin stuns and beers all 3 of them. A holy trinity, if you will, of wonderfulness and awfulness all mixed up together. Yes. Andrew, Let's go first to McAfee versus Austin Theory. What'd you think of Pat McAfee and Austin in the ring?
Really good match.
Yeah, it was good.
Fun. It was. Well, I mean, it's tough to talk just about the match.
Well, let's focus on the match first.
Okay, all right. Match was exactly what it could and should have been. McAfee did that incredible spot. He was going to do the superplex off the top, then kind of got knocked down, then did the 3-rope jump right up to the top, superplex right off. That got us out of our seats.
That was pretty darn cool.
That was the if I'm talking about spots, that's the best spot of the night, because it was so unexpected and so cool. The match itself, it wasn't really a great wrestling match, but it was a ton of fun. And McAfee did an incredible job, and so did Austin Theory.
Austin Theory,
yes, and having Vince out there, like just every time Austin Theory does something, he looks over at Vince, and Vince is just nodding. Like, great stuff. Like, so that's why I was going to say, if not the best match of the night, the best segment of the night. That's the whole thing, the whole package.
Yeah, the crowd was definitely into it, and
I give that to McAfee. I give that credit to McAfee.
I do, but I actually left similar to last night with KO. I have a little bit of a deeper appreciation of Austin Theory.
Me, as do I.
He played that kind of old school cocky heel perfectly.
Yep,
didn't deviate from it. Again, Groo, that triple turnbuckle jump up spot.
Oof.
The funny thing is, it's so. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, is your announcer on SmackDown perhaps now one of your top 7 or 8 performers in ring? Like, do they have a quandary now? I mean, does Vince McMahon go, damn, we got to get Pat McAfee onto a few more of these shows? I think, as I said on the last podcast, I think he'll become a consistent part-time performer when they want a match or they want a big name on the card. Let's get Pat.
Hell yeah, why not?
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I've been vocal about my criticisms of him as strictly a commentator, but every other thing that he does is gold. So the more he's off the mic and out of the commentary position and in other stuff, I'm for that, because everything else is just fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I'll disagree with you on that one.
I know you do.
I think Pat McAfee is money. This guy is gold. To me, everything he's touched, from his sports talk show to his SmackDown commentary. I mean, listen, I'm sure there's little mini foibles in there, but ultimately, SmackDown is a lot more fun with him on the mic. And I like the presentation. And I'll be very interested to see where they go with Pat McAfee and where they go with Austin Theory. Will Mr. McMahon still be locked into him? I think at some point, obviously, they're going to move Vince away from. You're not going to have Vince every show, walk Austin Theory to the ring, and I think they'll move away from it at some point.
I don't know. It worked.
It did. Well, speaking of Vince, after the match, there was some rumblings and grumblings. Perhaps Vince would, turn on Austin for losing. Instead, they ponied it up in the ring and gimmicked out to the crowd, and out comes one Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Well, we're forgetting, like,
oh my God, yeah, I did forget
the extra match that we got in a way.
Yeah, what'd you think of that?
It was an awful match, but a great segment. It was so much fun to watch. It was fun watching Vince do it one more time. Get in there with McAfee. We knew we weren't going to see much as far as quality wrestling, but we're watching the King. We're watching Vince McMahon doing what he hasn't done in 19 or 20 years, right? I mean, he hasn't since.
I think his last match per se was 2008 at WrestleMania, where against Bret Hart.
Okay, so it's like 15, 16 years, and every time that music hits, no chance in hell, we're always on our feet. We love Vince McMahon, warts and all, and I enjoyed every minute of this entire segment. As botched as it was, it almost added to the charm of it. Now that the match was obviously terrible, but
It was terrible.
but in a fun way.
I mean, I'm right there with you with Vince taking his shirt off, and he's got the old school black wife beater, and he's got pretty impressive physique for 76 years old.
For 26.
No doubt about it. But I felt this segment ran a little long. It was like, with the football and the little kicks to McAfee, and maybe I would have been a little more impressed, and you're probably not going to see it for his overall health if he took a little bit of a bump, but I liked it, but taking a step back didn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. But hey, it's wrestling. A lot of stuff doesn't make sense. I thought the segment ran a little bit long.
I'll give you that.
And then obviously as the segment progressed, the crowd, you're hearing the rumblings. Perhaps you're going to get a Stone Cold one more time with Mr. McMahon, and you do get Stone Cold.
See, I didn't see that coming until what you said. Like, you started hearing rumblings. I'm like, wait a minute. We were talking about that, and then we were like, oh yeah, now it's obvious that's what should happen. But I wasn't even thinking about it until we started talking about it.
Yeah,
so,
I had read.
In a way, it was a surprise to me.
I had read that perhaps Stone Cold would make an appearance on night 2. What did you think of the overall Stone Cold Vince segment?
Awesome, awesomely bad, and awesomely good. Because the pros. That's what I mean. The pros. We knew it was an entertainment segment from the get-go. He came out and did exactly what everybody wanted him to do. Drink a beer with McMahon, stun him, completely botched, but Stone Cold laughing it off made it work. That's what I loved about it. He knew he fucked it up. Actually, according to what I'm reading, it was Vince who
of course
screwed
Vince
it up.
fucked it up. Vince lost his footing.
Yeah, but Austin laughing about it and then continuing on with his thing with McAfee, which was also amazing. They drink the beers, then he stuns him. He stunned who was it? The best sell job was McAfee.
Of course,
McAfee just went right down instead of who was the other one he stunned. It was Byron Saxon. He did like the super oversell the night before. But this was just we were sitting there laughing and cheering and standing and applauding and having fun with it. And in the end, that's what matters. We knew this storyline is not going anywhere. We knew we were seeing Austin in the ring doing this thing for the very last time, most likely. And that's what I took it for. And I'm like, we were there. We saw it. This was awesome.
Well, that's maybe all the more reason to get it right. And so
they tried to get it right. They just screwed it up.
Let me give you my thoughts on it.
Would you? Would you please?
Before I stun you in this, right?
Wait, we don't want to get a noise complaint.
That is true. We already got one. I hear everything you're saying. I always look at things a little bit critically. I thought it could have been done a bit better. I wonder if the McAfee thing was an audible on the fly because of Stone Cold obviously not hitting it cleanly on Mr. McMahon. I thought the shot of McAfee on the floor, passed out, drinking the foam from the beer was classic. Kind of saved the segment. I did get a big time laugh out of that. It's fine. I will say I think it could have been better.
Yeah,
could have been tighter on time. Could have been better. But if you are looking for that water cooler moment, that headline on mainstream, there's no better two people than Vince and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, and I did really like at the end where Stone Cold was like, you could see him mouth like "thank you" and then leave the ring, and I just really truly enjoyed it, and in the end, that's really what matters more than anything.
Well, they certainly got their money's worth with Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Damn right
they
did.
I mean, the guy was not shy about making appearances.
Yes,
and
they did.
Getting in the mix. All right, Andrew, the final match of the night, monikered to be the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. Whether or not they achieved that, we'll find out what Andrew and I thought. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, as we predicted. We predicted. Universal Champion Roman Reigns defeating WWE Champion Brock Lesnar to become the undisputed WWE. They're calling it the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. Andrew, thoughts on the match?
It was a good match. It wasn't the best that they've had. It was more than people are giving it credit for. All I'm reading is like it was just, finisher after finisher after finisher until finally Roman gets the pin. It was more than that. There was much more psychology. These were two different characters in the ring, so they approached it differently. It was exciting knowing that the stakes were there. Brock did a great job. Roman did a great job with apparently a really bad shoulder injury.
Dislocated shoulder.
Dislocated it. I was disappointed in nothing about the match except maybe the length of it. It could have been longer. It seemed a little shorter for the biggest match of all time, quote unquote. On a personal note, disappointed with the result. I was rooting for Brock to win. But with that being said, everything you say about Roman is 100% true. He has come so far. He has tried all these different things and finally found something that's hitting. You see by the crowd reaction, even as people are booing him.
That's correct.
They're holding their fingers in the air. Number one, they acknowledge him. They respect that this is the number one guy. As much as they boo the shit out of him, which is exactly what they're supposed to do, you can't deny that he is the man here. I just really wanted Brock to win because I'm just loving this run of his so much more than anything else. But like you said, I think the writing is on the wall. He's going to disappear for a while, and then come back again. So I have no complaints about the match other than the ones I've registered. Really good, really good.
Yeah, I was fine with the match.
Yeah.
I've bought into this Roman bloodline head of the table gimmick, and I think they got money here.
Mm-hmm.
I think after last night, he is the undisputed number one guy in the roster, number one guy in the wrestling industry. The whole thing with the injury and things. I can't really say much more. I'm always a believer in give him a little less than more, because more starts. We've talked about how we felt some of these matches, another 5, 7, 12 minutes. It gets a little bit long, a little bit drawn out. If indeed there was a legitimate injury, they took it home. The finish was credible enough for me.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was a spot fest. I'm not, as critical as maybe some of these other people on the internet. I thought the match was fine, which after 2 days and a lot of hours was good enough for me. And so, I was fine with the match. I enjoyed it, and yeah.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because sometimes, look, guys our age, when it's getting that late, we're like, we have this thing in the back of our head like, all right, this is great, but let's finish it so we can, get to Denny's. But I did not feel that way. I was like, give me more.
No,
let's
but
go.
Agreed.
Let's go.
I if anything, I like cut it a little short, make me want more, make me want to see the product more than could go long. So here, when the match ended, I was like, it felt a little short, but I wasn't like, oh my god! Like it felt like a legit, credible ending. He got that spear in with a little extra oomph.
Yeah,
felt real to me.
Yeah, there was no real cheat to win. It was a legitimate win with a couple of little things here and there. The rope thing, and like you mentioned with Heyman, and that. But it wasn't like smash a guy, even though he did smash him over the head with the belt, but that was earlier in the match. There was no like smash him in the head with the belt, pin.
Well, what I like was that it's Roman, though. They didn't have the Usos running in, running out, Heyman running in, running out. It was ultimately decided by the two guys in the ring. Really no dispute. You leave it open if you want to do business with those two guys again somewhere down the line. Though I think at this point I'd like to see them move on to the other things. But, new WWE.
Well, I have one question to ask you about it, though. Let's say Brock is leaving for a little while, if that wasn't the case, is it a different outcome? Your opinion.
I don't know if he's leaving.
Your opinion.
I don't know.
Let's say that he is, because it certainly seemed like after the cameras went off the air, you could tell when they put the thing on the, Titan Sports, whatever. After
Titan Sports.
after we knew
I haven't been Titan Sports since.
Yeah, I know,
83.
but the little disclaimer on the bottom, after we knew the show went off the air, Brock was like waving to the crowd, and you could see that it seemed like he was saying goodbye for a little while. So let's say that is the case, and they knew that going in. If that wasn't the case, if he was here to stay for a while, do you think the outcome would have been the same?
No.
Do you think Roman would have won?
No, and I said to you on the last podcast, I see no avenue that Brock Lesnar walks out your champion. They've put a lot of thought into this bloodline. He's the dominant champ. This is an unprecedented run in the modern era. I cannot remember since, let's say, the mid-'90s of a champ this long on top. When he loses, it's going to really mean something, and somebody's going to be a made man. Now, whether they run with it, that's, Ultimate Warrior couldn't fill Hulk Hogan's shoes, and they had to go another route. I am interested to see where they go with this dominant champ thing. I liked when they did it on NXT. When the belt changes, it meant something to me. They've been ping-ponging championships. And, ultimately, I've bought into the rumors. I think we're going to see The Rock Roman in L.A., and I think Roman's going to walk out with his hand raised on that one. And he will, the WWE will want him in the conversation with the Pantheon, with the greats, with the Rocks, the Stone Colds, the Cenas, Roman Reigns, the Brock Lesnar's. Roman Reigns' name will be in there, and that's how I see it.
What would you like to see over the next few weeks from Roman Reigns? I have an idea of me.
Go ahead.
Well, you're not going to like it because I know that you're really into the bloodline thing, and so am I in a way. I actually would like to see Roman go double down on the monster heel thing and kick the bloodline to the curb. He used them to get to where he needed to be. Drop Heyman, drop the bloodline, and they become the faces. Like, I think the Usos would make great faces right now, and I kind of would like to see Roman go off on his own and be just a complete scumbag, and really run with it on his own from show to show. That's what I would like to see, and I'd like it to be like that. Like he used them to help him get to his perch. Now he's there. Don't need you anymore. They kind of been teasing that a little bit along the way with these little dust ups. That's kind of what I'd like to see.
They haven't had a dust up that I can remember in a while on television. Now, early on, they did. I like the presentation of the bloodline right now.
Yeah, I know.
I like. Now, certainly I would not get rid of Paul Heyman. I like him linked up with Roman Reigns. I think he's an important mouthpiece. The guy, Paul Heyman, for all the talkers, Paul Heyman's number one in the business. He's the number one guy on the microphone. So I would certainly not advocate for Paul Heyman to be separated from Roman Reigns. The Usos, perhaps. I don't hate it. I just think, just like RK Bro, I just think there's more creativity, more to mine with the bloodline. If they did something like that, I'd like it to be around WrestleMania time.
But Roman's gotten so much better on the microphone. Does he need Heyman anymore?
I'm telling you, I believe he does.
Yeah, okay. I don't have a. I don't agree or disagree. I just was wondering what you thought. And you told me.
I did.
The cool thing is, though,
comes crashing.
No. The cool thing is that there are a lot of different avenues that they could go down with just about every storyline they have going.
Were you the guy that called WFAN and said, "Hey, I want to propose a trade"? Godzilla, Shinsuke Nakamura for Jacob DeGrand, Aaron Judge, and the guy just went, "Nah, I'll play with you." Go ahead. Let me hear your thought.
About what?
I don't know. You mentioned something. All right, well, look, here, let's take a step back. Give me A through F grade. What'd you think of, you graded WrestleMania Saturday was a B+. Mm-hmm. What are you giving WrestleMania Sunday?
I'm going to give it the same grade. I'm going to give it a B+ because I thought that it did everything that Night 1 did in a different way. It was a different feel.
Yes.
It was a different style. There were things that didn't work on Night 1 and things that worked beautifully on Night 1. Same with Night 2. The only disadvantage that Night 2 has, I think, is the Sami Zayn loss. But I'm kind of taking that in stride, so I'm booking that. I'm grading it, but I'm grading both nights a B+. Now, all right. Now you tell me.
Yeah, don't give me. But if I want one grade, you're giving it a B+.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. He loves to go like. But if I had to, no.
Well, I am going to say that, but after you give me your.
I would have given it an A+, but Sami Zayn knocked it down to a B.
to an F.
I'm going to give it my same grade as. I think you had two things.
Yeah.
I think you had the Sami Zayn thing, which I think was a dumpster fire. I've softened a little on it because I slept on it.
Yeah.
I think you do have a little bit of positioning. I think Night 2 does suffer a little bit being Night 2. Night 1 has momentum. You're fresh. It's Saturday. You got the weekend.
I did like the Mark Wahlberg thing at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, sequels never live up to the original except tonight.
Okay, and I love the WWE does that package stuff better than anybody else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember I said to you, I need a Starbucks. It's
Yeah.
it's 2 long nights, and for fans who go through both nights, and where we sat, everybody was there for Night 1, at least in our row for Night 2. So we had the same core group of people. It's a long experience, and I'll give Night 2 a B. And what I come to realize is, as a wrestling fan or a WWE fan, the WWE, it's really an extravaganza. They really, at this WrestleMania, tried to wedge in everything possible to get a water cooler moment.
They certainly
if there was a spot to put Stone Cold, a Vince McMahon, a Pat McAfee, they threw every bell and whistle at you to make you walk out and go, wow. I don't always know if that's the best presentation. I'm always looking at in-ring television. Now, we didn't watch it on television. I think perhaps some of the stuff on TV came across even cooler, more exciting. We missed Cody Rhodes' entrance because we were on the side, so we didn't see that whole cool. We saw that from the side view. We didn't see the gimmicked, TV presentation. Yeah. But this, to me, I really looked back and went, you know what? It's an extravaganza. It's an extravaganza. There's, if they could wedge any name and any little thing into it to make you go wow, and to get a ESPN headline or something like that, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, and it's really, you have to accept, and some people just refuse to accept it, but we accept it. This is World Wrestling Entertainment, so it's bigger than wrestling itself. And you have to, the hardcore, and we're hardcore people like that. We appreciate and we want just as much great wrestling as we do to be entertained. But people are so critical of things that, that are about the wrestling business, and they just, they need something to bitch about. And I feel like us right here, we're looking at these things and trying to find diamonds in the rough of the negative stuff, and I think we're successful at it because we're seeing the value in even the botched stunners, and even in the Sami Zayn match. We're finding small things that actually can come out of it. But my big question for you is, where does this WrestleMania have staying power? Are we going to be talking about this WrestleMania 5, 6, 7, 10 years from now, like we're still talking about, some of the older ones. Maybe not on a WrestleMania 3 level, but on like a WrestleMania X8 level.
Okay.
Things like that. What do you think about that?
First of all, I saw no value in Sami Zayn getting squashed by Johnny Knoxville.
No, but you saw value in the actual match because it was entertaining and fun to watch. Even though it was shit, we don't just say screw it and it sucked. I never want to even hear about it again. There were some fun things about it. That's my point. Unlike the Sheamus New Day tag team where there was nothing.
I was very angry after the Sami Zayn match. I've calmed down a little bit, but talking about it now, it's getting me.
It's getting you angry again.
Yeah.
I think you need another nap then.
I didn't see much value. I think WrestleMania 38 will be remembered as a very, very fun, entertaining WrestleMania. I don't think it's going to go down in the pantheon of greatest WrestleManias, but there's a ton of water cooler moments. Mm-hmm. When we went through WrestleMania Access and they had the placards for each WrestleMania, that's going to be
that was super cool.
That's going to be a fun placard because there was definitely a lot of fun, entertaining moments. Do I think it was a classic WrestleMania? No. Do I think it was a super fun WrestleMania? Absolutely. And yes, when the WWE does their packages and, top 10 this and fun this and Mr. McMahon, Austin moments and Pat McAfee, top 10, you'll have a lot of moments from this WrestleMania that they can mine from. Absolutely.
Do you have a pick as match of not of the night, but of the event?
Yeah, I would probably give a very slight nod to McAfee and Austin Theory. I think that was the match that the fans were most into. I think taking a step back, perhaps the best match of the 2 nights, the road wrestling match, and the one I was surprisingly very much into was Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair. I think that was the best wrestling match. I think the one that the fans are most into and even caught me a little by surprise at how enjoyable it was McAfee and Austin Theory, because McAfee has wrestled before, but he doesn't have a lot of experience, and so it could have, he's essentially a celebrity in that mode, celebrity name. It could have went like most celebrity matches, really bad, and it went really, really well.
Yeah, that's my second favorite. I think my pick as match of the event is the triple threat tag team.
That was a good
match, but Becky Lynch and her match and Bianca Belair is right below the McAfee match. So those are my top 3, and I'm evolving. That's a women's match right there that I'm saying it was a phenomenal match.
Yeah, but see, I agree. I'll give you kudos. But
Thank you.
I think,
thank you.
But I think as a pure wrestling match, see, that's easier to follow. You got the 2 wrestlers, and I think they told a great story, and it was the heel and the baby face, and it was really, really well done. I did enjoy the tag team triple threat, and enjoyed, I enjoyed some of the hijinks afterwards. I enjoyed the Alpha Academy, Chad Gable. I enjoyed all this. It was a fun match, but
good way to start night 2.
Yeah. I think the fans were most into McAfee Theory, but I think the best, rote wrestling match, was the ladies, was Bianca and
that's great,
and Becky.
We had a very let's go over how did we do with our predictions, Evan?
Give us a breakdown.
So for match for the World Tag Team Championship, I had RK Bro, who won the match, and I was surprised, even though I did predict them. Evan picked the Street Profits, who I will think that heel turn will happen, maybe as soon as tonight. So Evan had Street Profits, I had RK Bro, Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn, Moody being
Moody.
Being the purist of the 2 of us. He picked Sami Zayn and I picked Knoxville because they usually book the celebrities to win. So I got that one. I wish Evan was correct on that one, and we've made our opinions clear about that. The Raw Tag Team, we were both wrong. Evan picked Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. I picked Natalya and Shayna Baszler. We were both wrong on that. Edge versus AJ Styles, we both hit it out of the park. We picked Edge. We were both correct. We also hit it out of the park with McAfee versus Austin Theory. We both picked McAfee. Had we had the opportunity to predict McAfee versus McMahon, what would your prediction have been?
Next question.
All right. And finally, well, no, Sheamus, New Day. I picked New Day. Evan picked Sheamus and Ridge. Moody wins. And Lashley, we did not register a pick about Lashley and Omos because at the time we made our predictions, the match wasn't set yet. That shows you how silly it was. We both picked Bobby Lashley, so we were both on point with that. And we were both on point with the main event, Roman Reigns walking out with, I'm going to call it, the World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Championship belt, because that's what it is. But I think we did really well on both nights. We did. If these shows are done well, we should both be at about 50%. Because if we get them all right, it's a little too predictable. Agree or disagree?
I'll agree with that statement.
So I think we had good numbers. I think we were surprised with some. We were pissed off with some. It was a roller coaster. It was a roller coaster of emotions, which for a 2-night, 14-hour extravaganza in AT&T Stadium, what more can you ask for?
At least I didn't get motion sickness.
He almost did.
Yes.
Especially. Well, no, I won't go there.
Please.
You were holding something in from the first match last night.
From the opening bell, I had a bowel movement that was being retained, like the WWE Championship. I retained.
Yeah.
But thank you, Denny's. All right. Well, listen, Andrew. This. What are you whispering? Well, that's a separate topic for another time.
Oh, okay.
That's a separate topic.
Okay.
All right. That wraps up WrestleMania 38 in Dallas, WrestleMania 39 in LA.
We're already making our reservations.
Gassing up the car.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be even bigger for us. We're going to take some more time off. We're going to spend WrestleMania week in LA.
Batten down the hatches.
Yes, we're going to hit everything we possibly can. It was, if I have one regret, I feel like we probably should have given ourselves an extra day here.
Unfortunately,
we kind of rushed it. I don't know why we thought to do that, but I guess that's on me because I think I made my reservations first. Because I would have liked to spend more time, and maybe I would, if we had time today, I would go back to Access and do some of those things. Those things looked like fun.
They did look like fun.
They had this thing there where this is what I've seen. They have all these activities. For those of you who've never seen the Access thing, and they have one thing where you and somebody else can like call a match and like get it like they have the match on there, and you can pretend to be commentators, and then you get a file where you could listen to it. It's really cool. I've seen that before. What they had that I'd never seen before was they built an entrance ramp, and you were able to pick your superstar entrance and film yourself coming down the ramp. I would have really enjoyed if NWO was an option to do that. I would have loved for us to. I would have literally gone to one of the stores there and bought an NWO T-shirt just for us to do that. That would have been cool. And the cool thing was the Access thing was you buy one ticket, you could go to all the sessions. So if we had one extra day, I probably would have done that, and maybe we would have done more fun things there. But yesterday when we went, we had to get over to WrestleMania. But we went, and it was fun. We've had an incredible run here.
Incredible run in Dallas.
As always.
Looking forward to LA. We'll be back in touch with all of our podcast listeners. We'll figure it out what our next shows are. We'll
what we have on the docket, from what I understand, we're going to be taking. What we talked about it yesterday.
What are we doing?
Well, we're gonna take next week off. We've given a lot of content here. We're gonna give ourselves a little breather. Our next show, we'll be going back to Van Dammit, covering the classic movie Death Warrant.
Can't wait.
No, me neither. I that's one that I haven't seen, so I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Me too.
But yes, so next week we'll be on hiatus, so we could prepare our big show on Death Warrant. Following that, we're going to have a staff meeting. Evan actually put together a PowerPoint where we're getting the hundreds of employees at Nothing Worthwhile, and we're going to be having a meeting and going over booking ideas.
Yes, we're opening burner Twitter accounts.
Yes, burner Twitter accounts. We're talking about guests we're going to have on the show.
Very socially conscious.
Yes, and basically, Evan and I are going to address our employees and yell at them for 3 hours, and then we will fire them all and then come back in 3 weeks with a brand new Nothing Worthwhile with Moody and Groo. This is Moody and Groo signing off.
Take us home, Andrew.
Signing off from Dallas, Texas, home of Ewing Oil and WrestleMania 38. And until next time, folks, 1, 2, 3. Wrap 'em!